have the latest thing. I don't know. All of those things that would be part of getting to where you would have been if you hadn't been in a coma would be making up for lost time. Anytime there's an absence or you've missed something for a period of time, you want to catch up. One of the most complicated phrasal verbs is make up. Think about it. Or don't. It's so complicated because it means so many different things. As soon as you think of one meaning, then you realize, oh yeah, but it also means that, right? Maybe your first impression is, oh, makeup is about what you put on your face, right? Yeah, yes. But also it's about things that are not real that you just suddenly come up with. Oh yeah, I forgot about that one. Oh. So while phrasal verbs often have several meanings, makeup has more. And we're not even going to talk about all of them. So we're going to go over a few of the most common meanings, a few of the most common ways to use the phrasal verb make up, right? We have some examples we're going to explore to talk about the different meanings. Why? Because we use examples to extract meaning rather than saying the meaning and then trying to make examples. Because meaning comes out of real usage, right? I don't need to explain this, do I? So let's just jump into it. We're going to jump into a few of the common ways that we use this fascinating phrasal verb, and then I want you to try to make your own examples. Okay, so here we go. If you ever get stuck during your talk, just make something up. The team was made up of creative people from around the world. Your makeup makes you look like a different person. Okay, so these three. Now, the first one, if you ever get stuck during your talk, maybe you're giving a presentation, talking in front of people, right? Like I'm doing right now with you. Maybe I have a plan, maybe I'm following a script, maybe I'm reading a speech, right? If I can't read something or my mind goes blank, then I'll just create something from the little creative room in my brain that is always writing ridiculous things, right? So I forgot what I was going to say, but then I say, and there was a day when I was a boy, and I was riding my little blue bicycle, and I was attacked by a raccoon. And the raccoon was wearing a little red hat, and he attacked me, and he took my shoes and carried them away into the bushes. Now, why am I telling you this story? Okay, so I just now made that up. I didn't plan to say it. I don't even know what it means or why I said it. I made it up, right? Now, this can be used playfully like a story to create an imagination, right? To invent a character. To make up an event that happened would be to say, haha, I made up a little story that will entertain you. Or it could be used in a very serious sense. For example, if someone makes up a fact that other people are relying on, it could cause a lot of problems. You mean you made that up? I just worked an entire day on what you told me, and you're saying you made it up. Oh, sorry. I thought you knew I made it up. Oh, so that could cause problems. Making stuff up is just reaching down into a fictional place and pulling it out of nowhere, right? Now, this is then totally different. The team was made up of creative people from around the world. So what's that? Well, that's like comprised of, okay? Now, could I say that the tree is made up of wood? What's the difference between saying the tree is made up of wood and the team is made up of people from around the world? Well, one is correct and one is not. The tree example would be not made up of, but made of. The tree is made of wood, right? This keyboard is made of aluminum. So what's the difference between made of and made up of? Made up of, and notice that it is followed by of, it has to be followed by of. would be when you have a bucket of different things combined together that make a larger whole. So you're talking about just the material of something, glass, aluminum, wood, right? What is it made of? But if you're talking about a thing like a team, and there are different people from different parts of the world, you have some people from China and a couple people from South America, a few from Canada, made up of. And you could say made of, but made up of is better in that case. Think of it as a grouping that is one unit that has different pieces, right? Different components, not just one material like a keyboard made of some regular material like aluminum. Okay. Your makeup makes you look like a different person. Okay. Now, makeup you'll see used in this way. Right? The makeup of a culture. Well, the makeup of a culture would be all of the things that make up the culture. It's music, it's dance styles, it's cuisine, it's fashion, right? The culture is made up of many different fascinating aspects, right? And you would say then, as one word, the makeup of the culture. So there is that meaning. And when we say it that way, we're using makeup as a noun. The makeup, the makeup, the makeup. One word, the makeup of the culture, right? The makeup of a species, the makeup of a sustainable ecosystem. It is made up of those things. But your makeup also refers to cosmetics. So, a couple things here. When you see a phrasal verb written as one word, that is going to be its noun form or sometimes its adjective form, and it usually means that it can be written as two words, make up, right? I made up and went out, right? I made up, or I did my, no, not did my makeup would be one word. I made up and then went to the dinner party. That means putting on your makeup. How do you know it's this meaning and not this meaning? It's context. You know it from the situation. So that would be putting on cosmetics. So if a woman is doing that, perhaps putting on foundation and eyeliner and eyeshadow and contouring and all of that stuff, that long and complicated process, that would be doing makeup, or when I'm describing it, your makeup, my makeup, right? I used to have to use a bit of foundation before, but I stopped doing that. When I would make videos, because everyone used to say, Luke, you look like you haven't slept in years. Your eyes have dark eye bags under your eyes. Yeah, it's just what I look like. Right? So I used to actually put foundation under my eyes to hide the dark bags under my eyes, and now I don't care. So I used to have to do my own makeup, and often people will say, do my makeup. Do my makeup. Okay, so is that it? There are 3? Ho, 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 no. Again, there are more than we're even going to talk about, but we actually have 3 more ways to use makeup. So here we go. I will make it up to you next year, I promise. After waking up from his coma, Nigel wanted to make up for lost time. Are they still fighting? They've usually made up by now. Okay, so how do we have 3 different meanings? This is the rabbit hole goes ever deeper, right? And again, there are even more than what we're talking about. Okay, I will make it up to you next year, I promise. Now, let's say, let's say there's 2 people. They are a couple, and they have an anniversary coming up. Maybe their 10th wedding anniversary. Wow, that's important, right? And so what are you supposed to do in that situation? Maybe go out for a really nice meal and maybe buy gifts for each other. I don't know, whatever you want to do, I suppose. Well, what if one person completely forgot about their 10th wedding anniversary, and they made other plans, and on their 10th wedding anniversary, instead of going out for a nice meal, right, let's say the husband, okay, let's be honest, we know who it is, goes somewhere else with his friends. Oops, forgot. Oh no. Obviously, that's going to cause some hurt feelings. Of course, forgot about your 10th wedding anniversary? What's wrong with you? Okay, so then the apology would be, so sorry, I meant to buy a gift and take you out for a wonderful meal. I completely forgot. It completely slipped my mind. I will make it up to you next year. So for the next year, I'm going to do even more. So when you make something up to someone, you owe them something. You feel you need to apologize. You're in their debt, right? You feel bad, and you're going to do more than they expect in order for them to either forgive you or not hate you anymore, right? I will make it up to you, I promise. Maybe someone missing their child's important school event because they had work, very important work thing to do. I'm sorry I missed your swimming competition. I promise I will make it up to you. I promise, okay? So you're kind of apologizing and saying, I will give back even more somehow. If I'm -5, I'm gonna make it +5 in the future, right? And we also use making up to talk about falling behind. So this is actually connected to this second one, although they're not exactly the same. After waking up from his coma, Nigel wanted to make up for lost time. So he feels like he's behind. Maybe he was in a coma for, this should be a small c coma. Maybe he was in a coma for 3 years, right? Just asleep. Well, he missed so many family events, and he missed professional things in his career, right? He or she, well, Nigel, he's okay, it's he. So how do you feel in that case? Well, everyone else is at this level, and because I was asleep for 3 years, I'm here. I should be here, but I'm here instead because I was asleep for 3 years. Well, I need to work extra hard in order to get here professionally. I need to spend a lot of time with my family to appreciate all of the time that I've missed and be part of their lives. I need to buy a bunch of tech so that I'm not have the latest thing. I don't know. All of those things that would be part of getting to where you would have been if you hadn't been in a coma would be making up for lost time. Anytime there's an absence or you've missed something for a period of time, you want to catch up to where you were. And catch up would be a common expression to use in that case too. So this one is catching up to where you should be as well. Make up for lost time is a very common expression that you hear, often related to parenting, but certainly not only for that situation. And again, that should be like that. Okay. All right. Now, what about this one? Again, there's a common sort of thread here, but it's still a bit different. Are they still fighting? They've usually made up by now. So this making up is usually specifically for relationships, people who have disagreements or fighting because somebody missed somebody's 10th anniversary, so they're fighting, a couple is fighting, and making up would be the process of reconciling, of apologizing and making sure everything's okay, and that sort of thing. They've usually made up by now would be someone who knows these two people who are fighting and knows that usually they're okay within a couple days, but they're still 2 weeks later still really angry at each other, and so they haven't made up yet. Wow, that's taking longer than usual. They've usually made up by now. So this is sort of reconcile, forgive, similar to that. It could be used for just friends or people who know each other, but there people would say, I'll make it up to you, something like that, right? Usually for this meaning, to just make up, they've made up. Usually that is for people in relationships, particularly couples. Okay, so that's how it's typically used. Again, This is not even every single possible way to use make up. This is one of those absolutely crazy phrasal verbs that has a bunch of different meanings and uses. The best way to really get these is to make your own examples. Pay attention when you hear make up out there. How is it being used, right? Write down how it's being used. Pay attention to the context. Make your own examples so that it kind of gets burnt into your brain so that when you need it, it's right there and you can use it without even thinking about it.